talking bread, and we don't have any here to show you guys. We're actually in the process of making bread. Well, Lori's gonna feed her starter here, you're gonna see, and then she'll make it later today. But we're coming up to our year, I guess, anniversary of making sourdough, and we've never really publicly shared about it so much here on our YouTube channel. We've been sharing our journey on Instagram and over in our locals community. So we thought, well, as we approach our year anniversary almost, we wanted to share some here, talking about bread, gluten, you know, our background. Some of you might be like, oh, but some of you might be like, so we're just gonna kind of discuss some of that in this video. For over 10 years, Lori and I have not really had gluten.
For the most part, like we weren't perfect.
We were 90-95% gluten-free for 10 plus years. Some years really strict, some years not as strict. But for the past year, we've been making our own sourdough with gluten in it. We did not make a gluten-free sourdough. We thought about it, but we've learned a lot and just kind of where we're going with this and what kind of little bit of what got us into all this. Yep, we're eating bread again. Wait a minute. It's not just any bread though. It is sourdough. It's just kind of crazy. We were sitting thinking about when did we actually start this? And
it's been about a year.
Yeah, it's coming up to a year.
This little baby is a year old. So exciting.
Why we're eating gluten again, and our kind of mindset changed around this. So we actually don't have any made up right now. So Lori is going to be
some in the freezer though.
And Lori's going to be feeding her starter here. She's going to be making bread later today. And so we just wanted, as she was doing this, was just going to share. So depending on when you guys came across Lori and I in our journey, why you guys talking about this, I guess we realized it was over 10 years ago. Around, I think it was 2011, I was having a lot of health issues and stuff. And one reason Lori and I shared, one reason we started blogging and sharing our journey was these health issues. We had a lot of digestive issues and skin issues was what kind of started our journey of sharing our lives online. This was back, I guess, 2013 is when we kind of started taking blogging more seriously. But before that, I think it was around 2011, I went and got tested and I was diagnosed with gluten sensitivities and intolerance. And then we also, around that same time, our older sister was having a lot of health issues. And through Lori and I learning more about gluten and all this stuff, but way back then, we thought, oh, Jenny, you might have issues. And she ended up coming out, she does have celiac disease. So we've been helping. So through all this, so over 10 years, pretty much, we were eating gluten-free. Yeah. And
we're pretty close.
So we just want to bring this up. We're eating gluten again. We do not have celiac disease, so please know that. And we also are sharing this for just to encourage you, depending on why you got into eating gluten-free, because it's all the rage and it's still people talking about it. And we've come across new people, and a lot of it started with Lori getting into homeschool. Yep. God has led different people into our lives, and that's one good thing about social media right now. Lori and I really see it as a blessing, who have been doing sourdough a lot longer than Lori and I. We've been learning a lot from them and really having fun with it. We didn't know where this was going to go, if we were going to even stick with it, were we even going to like it.
Before filming this, we were talking, like, I was probably a couple months of me just researching about sourdough.
Pretty much the end of 2023, we were like researching. Yeah. We even want to do this, and it took us a long time, and it wasn't until February, March of 2024 we really started getting the starter, feeding it, and get going.
Yeah. We took it more seriously. You know what? We're just going to do it. Otherwise, we're just going to sit here and keep talking about it and never do it. So we're like, you just got to start.
So we want to just also sharing this also as an encouragement to you. We're not saying you have to go out and eat bread. We're not saying you have to go out and get sourdough. But if it has been something that has been coming up in your life and you've been sitting and thinking about it, or if you do want to eat bread, or you already do and you want to have a healthier option for your family, if Lori and I can do sourdough, we have no background of making bread. We were baking girls. We liked sweets. So that was our background, was cakes and cookies and brownies and things like that.
Not breads.
Not breads. We struggled with yeast breads in the past. Even back when we had our own bakery, we tried making yeasted gluten-free breads, and we had a decent recipe, but we didn't stick with it very long. We ended up selling it because we weren't the greatest at it. So I will admit, this was scary at the start to get into it.
So I just got done feeding sourdough starter. So later today, I will actually make the dough for this and then bake it tomorrow. So I did want to mention real quick, Michelle, and I forgot to mention this. We have been working real hard on creating a real simple cheat sheet. We call it for sourdough ratios. It'll be on the description box below. Our sourdough cheat sheet is on all the different feeding ratios that Michelle and I have used or been playing around with. And yes, Michelle said we just want to be encouragement because ever since we got into the sourdough, because of the homeschooling and God changing our hearts, I wanted better food for my kids. I wanted to get back into the kitchen, and because for so many years, once I had kids when they were little, I wanted convenience. I wanted things already kind of made for me, but now I'm kind of getting back into like, no, I want to make the food, and it's actually...
We're seeing more the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And not so much like, oh, to make this. Like, no, it's like, we get to make this, what else can we make? And it's been interesting. Yeah. God has definitely changed both of our hearts around the food and kitchen. We came of years of being really strict for many years with, like it's a lot of health problems. Yeah. So depending on, again, where you came into Lori and I's journey of seeing us about 4 or 5 years ago, we were sharing more of our journey to have more food freedom, where we weren't so strict with our diet, but we still ate 80% gluten-free and very clean because we still feel the best that way, high-fat diet. But we added, like when we traveled, we weren't so strict. We allowed ourselves to have bread at a restaurant type of thing. Yeah. So that kind of changed. And then, as Lori was saying, she started wanting to make better food for her kids and our family.
Well, because I saw all those, people on Instagram that were saying with the sourdough, like no longer buying bread at the store. And I did, like every time I went to the grocery store, I would look at all like the ingredients. I'm like, and my kids still liked toast or bread. Oh, so I'm gonna try it. So I, as we said, we just took the initiative, bought the starter, started feeding it, started learning all of this, and so here we are a year later. I have not bought bread from the store in a whole year. It feels good, and it actually hasn't been as hard as I thought it was going to be, and my kids really like it. And
it's just been kind of fun. And we also want to mention, like some of you might be thinking, well, how's your body reacting for so many years, over 10 plus years not eating gluten, the past 4 or 5 years. It still like wasn't a major part of our diet. Like I said, it was mostly when we traveled or things. We weren't so strict with our diet. I would say I've had no issues, even from the very beginning. Yeah. And I will, though I need a caveat, before even getting into sourdough, like we researched it for a while. I was also learning at the same time, not only about sourdough, but about flour and grain in general, about how store-bought flours, how they're like dead. There's nothing really nutritious. That's also why we're having all these issues here in America, especially where we live. As other countries eat all these other grains and really have no issues. Yeah. So from the very beginning, we bought a more freshly milled flour, and the way they raise it is all, nothing's been contaminated. So I think that definitely made a difference too. Not only were we using sourdough, but also from the very beginning, I was very aware
of the flours that we're using.
So we have had no bad reactions to eating sourdough, filled these breads with whole grains and glutens in them. And we just want to say again, like if you have celiac disease, do more research on it. We don't want to say everyone should be eating it. No, but if you're someone like us who ate it just because you were told to eat it, you don't have celiac, we just want you to do your own research. I'll link up some videos down below that Lori and I listened to that really helped open our eyes. So you can check out and dig in, do your own research. And I mentioned earlier, new people have come into our lives, and it continues. Each year, Lori and I come across a new person talk about sourdough. I love learning about it, and we both have really enjoyed being back in the kitchen. It's even sparked our interest even more to get back in the kitchen. And not that we are against it, as Lori said earlier, it's just we fell in the trap of convenience. And also our mindset, we were not following the ways of God. We're all about hustle, 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 hustle. So it wasn't like, just quickly eat something, like we have all this stuff we got to do for our business. So we were in a different mindset, and God really helped us slow down, rest in Him. And also someone else brought to my attention that God gave us bread. I thought that myself, and I was sitting with all this, God wouldn't give us something that would be bad for us. He would give us something that He knows that we could live off and sustain us.
But like most things, we know that the enemy sneaks in and takes what good God created and made it bad. So I think, especially for us here in America, the quality of the bread that you see in the stores, even as Michelle said, even the quality of the flours that are being offered in the grocery stores is not good for us. And so that too has been, which Michelle and I, if you've been following us, we're always into doing things a little bit different.
Always different.
So we really have been enjoying all of it. Getting back into the kitchen, really getting to know these flours more and understanding how they work. So make sure you stay tuned and follow our journey of sourdough. We will share more here because we're not sure yet, get into milling our own flours and getting into some of these more ancient grains. So make sure you subscribe, stay tuned to see where we go.